before going more into that part of it, because we're going to talk more about the consciousness,
Yeah.
connect that way. Let's go through the kinds. You guys want to hit off the first kind, right?
Yeah. So there's 5 types of close encounters. There's the first kind. The first encounter, the encounter of the first kind is when a person sees a UFO within about 150 meters. Close encounters of the second kind is when a UFO leaves some sort of mark on the ground, evidence such as scorch marks, indents, crop circles, all these things. Close encounters of the third kind is when you're able to see occupants in the spacecraft.
Sure.
And there's a movie about that and whatnot and all this stuff.
I think that happened a lot in like Brazil. I think Brazil has a couple crazy stories where like it's on
land.
Yeah.
And so then there's the close encounters of the fourth kind, which is abduction, a human on a spacecraft.
Yep.
And then Dr. Steven Greer, over the last 30, 40 years, has developed this close encounters of the fifth kind, this protocol, which is human-initiated contact. So basically, we have the ability to initiate contact with these other entities.
I think that, and that goes back to, the drive to do that, like you mentioned, is we need to flip the script of them being hostile, being scared of them, to more of, like you said, more of a different thought process. Because, like, if you're looking at just the media and what they're doing, because that I guess that agency or that deep state where you want to talk about, they have a lot of people in media, like hired within, so
Fully
they control.
infiltrated.
Yeah, so it's fully infiltrated. Even in Hollywood, I would say the same thing, right? All of that, right? So if you're going off of that, you're just feeding into their hands, kind of, right?
Yeah.
You're like, all right, well, they want me to be scared. I'm going to be scared, right? So I think this is where the fifth kind comes out, where you're saying we need to make the connections and, take the narrative ourselves.
Totally.
To run with it, right?
Yeah, I think, man, that fridge sure is loud. I hope. But, yeah, I think the goal here
Want a cold
is
beer or not, bro?
The idea here is universal consciousness is a real thing.
Yeah.
And we have been brought up in a society, especially in America, where like, our kids now they come out of the womb when they're on their cell phone, right? And all that is just continual programming. It's distraction. It creates this world in which we have a very egocentric world. It's all about self-promotion, self-gain, and whatnot. And that doesn't create a lot of happiness. That's why in America and the world right now we have the highest depression rates, highest anxiety rates, highest suicide rates that we ever had. So when you realize that, like, the way in which we've been brought up in this society may work for some people, but it's not the only option available to us. There's a much more beautiful world out there when we take away these boundaries. Like, why do we have boundary lines in between countries? We're all human. Like, the world is our home, right? It doesn't matter. But this idea then is, well, we can connect with loving beings and have universal consciousness and kind of change who we are, because when you are able to feel that love for any loving entity, then that really kind of changes who you are. It changes how you approach life. It changes how you approach your relationships, work, everything. And so I think there's a big opportunity for this, that it will, if we do this right, and if we take initiative and we make this contact, that we can actually usher in such a beautiful world.
So so that's one thing that, like you mentioned, like, the world, if we did it together, and let's just say we get to this enlightenment as a society, right, and then we can see and talk with these aliens and stuff, right, that would actually put, instead of us being separated, like you mentioned, countries and stuff like that, we'd be actually one.
Well, and so like Ronald Reagan came out and was like, what if we had a fear up there? They're using fear as a way to have a one world government and control and religion and
that's what I'm saying.
And,
one world,
and that's not what we want.
Yeah,
we don't want that. We want to know, like, we don't want a world government. We want a cosmic relationship. We want cosmic oneness, right? We're all connected. And the cool thing is that it doesn't take everybody in the world being convinced of this. It takes 1%. It takes about 75 million people going through this process because of this concept of superfluidity and coherence and whatnot.
Okay. So you're saying the 1%, right?
Yeah. So like when they talk about this a little bit, they're like, we can take 1,000 people into downtown New York City. Yeah. Nobody knows we're here. We'll meditate. All of a sudden, crime rates drop because they meditate and create love, and that's energy. Thought is energy. And crime rates go down. All these things happen in a really beautiful way. So this idea, and scientifically, there's these concepts of like superfluidity, and when like helium gets brought down to absolute zero, when 1% of the helium molecules or whatever get into alignment, all of a sudden the rest get into alignment. So there really is this idea of, okay, well, if we have 1% of the population resonating at this higher level, the rest of the population will fall in line just by.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Didn't they do that whenever there's like a major disaster?
Yes. So that was the cool thing on the documentary. They talk about they had around the globe. They put all these random number generators,
Which is crazy to think about.
which is crazy, right? So it spits out zeros or ones,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I did.
And so then during these massive worldwide events, September 11th, Princess Diana dying, they all start working in coherence together. So all of a sudden more ones start popping up, when it should be more equal 50-50, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then like the plant, they put a plant in a room, and
Yeah,
just
that's
the
what I was gonna-
plant's consciousness,
The light.
the plant desiring to have sunlight impacts the random number of the quadrant that the light picks.
Yeah, so going back to this consciousness thing, like we're talking about here, it's kind of like the way you like you can kind of, if you're with your conscious, you can kind of manipulate, right? That's what we're talking about a little bit, right? So like they had like the random number generators, like 0101s, and you can have them, like you can ask somebody, hey, can you try to do the numbers one way compared to 50-50, right?
Yeah.
And on the study, they show that the people could manipulate it a little bit, right?
Yep.
And that's where it goes back to the plant one, when they had a plant in they had one light in the room, and the plant was in one corner, and the light would go into different quadrants, right? Randomly.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But then it started, you seeing that it would hit just that one area more often, where the plant was, like you're saying, the desire, the consciousness of the plant even wanting it, the light, right? That's where it comes from. So kind of like that's what I thought was interesting, because it kind of brought up like the Force, like Star Wars.
It really
right?
is. I mean,
like it's
this idea of manifestation, like we are our own creators of our own reality. What you want, what you put intention behind, literally has a scientific, energetic impact on your reality.
So I wonder if sometimes like if you take that right there, that's what I was thinking. It's like sometimes like if you're like, oh man, I really hope this, like if you pray to God for something or something like that, like are you like putting that out there, your consciousness, to make that happen?
Every thought you have is energy. So they have the saying, right? Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your destiny. It starts with your thoughts. It starts with what you desire, but you can't just go out there and be like, I want $1 million.
No,
right? It's like you gotta act as if you already had it. Like, cool, I'm a millionaire now, and this is how I act, and this is what I got to do, and these the intention is to obtain that, right? So you got to actually put in the work too. You can't just be like, I want it. You got to wake up every day,
grind and
do things. But when you do that, suddenly the universe, when it comes from a pure place, things line up.
That's interesting.
Things happen. Things manifest all the time, and I believe this so much just because my mom specifically she is such a manifester, and so she's done a great job her whole life of whatever she wants and puts her mind to, it just magically happens somehow, some way. But it's the beautiful thing, having that faith. So then you look at like religions and stuff, and a lot of the same things they talk about, it's just the way in which they tell a story back 2,000 years ago. If you think about it now, we would probably say something very similar, but just talk about it differently. But it's the same exact thing.
Yeah. So just going back to like, you know, like by like connecting with aliens out there, and just how, you know, it's not like they might be far away, but we're still connecting with them, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes towards like, I don't know if you guys watched the Flash, the new Flash movie.
I've seen it.
So he, you know, he can faster than speed of light, right? I think, right? Or but he's going back in time because he's so fast, right?
Yeah.
The dimensions, right? But then when he's going forward, he can see the different like parallel, like alternate universes. He can pop in to see what's going on there. So I wonder if that's kind of like, so I guess with aliens, are they at a different place? And then like how does it shift where like they're here on Earth now, even though they're from far away?
So gosh, I just saw something about this. I gotta remember what this was, but essentially, time is not linear.
Yeah, that's what.
Right. Yeah, so we got it. The way in which we think about time is false.
Yeah.
So traveling to different times. Gosh, I have to look up this clip and come back to you on that one. But there's something there that is interesting. I think that. I'll have to find that clip and send it to you.
Yeah, right. No, that works. That's the one part I'm trying to figure out, because I know that like it was mentioned that time's not linear, and then it's just a way of kind of maybe not exactly kind of like how the Flash does his stuff, but it's kind of like that a little bit. But so my question: is their world here as well, but just in a different parallel, and that's how we're doing it, or is it just that we're just connected with them through our consciousness far away, and then they can be here, then not? But kind of like the Stranger Things. Like Stranger Things. You ever watch Stranger
Down.
Well, we know how like 11 can she goes into her meditation or whatever, and then it's like black, but she can go where she wants to go, even though she's not there. She can go to that scene
and talk to them.
Yeah.
So that's what is it like that more like?
So yeah, okay, God, so much here. So there's a lot of theories around like even like in the life that we individually live, you have different timelines that you can go to consciously based off of your choices and decisions and whatnot. But every choice you make creates a break into a different life and timeline. So your consciousness hopefully is going with the positive ones to achieve your highest self, right? Instead of going down the other paths. But those things are happening simultaneously too, but just in different dimensions and timelines and all this stuff. So I think the way in which this is working and the way they talk about it on CE5 is their technology is able to travel at the speed of thought, not light.
So faster.
They're able to create portals and whatnot and manipulate space and time to be able to go travel 24 million light years away, right?
Yeah, because if you're going speed of light that far away, it takes forever to do communication. That's why it has to be, like you said, thought has to be faster.
Speed of thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And they're so advanced telepathically. Their brain, just far more capabilities.
My question is, how many different? I wonder how many like we're like, well, the aliens, like they're probably not just one type of aliens out there. I wonder if there's
so many millions of galaxies. It's hard to believe
so
that
that's
you're the only one. The only type.
Yeah, so that's why I always wonder, like just out there, like them connecting with each other, like from different places as well.
You guys got to download the Gaia app, GAIA.
You mentioned this,
Watch all this stuff on ancient civilizations and deep space, and they talk about the Palladian star structure, like the Seven Sisters stars. You have all these different Palladians that they actually resemble, like one planet resembles like Hopi Indians, one resembles the Incans, one resembles the Nordic people. So they long blonde hair, blue eyes, but they're humanoid. Then you talk about they have other civilizations that they talk about, and they found this out through doing all these reverse hypnosis things, and all these different people having the same exact conversations with different entities. So then there's like the lion people, basically, that are like the cat people that look like these majestic lions, and then there's the reptilians, there's the grays, there's all this stuff. And as you go up this level of these densities, so we say it's dimensions. It's not dimensions. You're not going to add a different dimension to it. It's densities. Everything is energy, frequencies, and vibrations. So you have these different densities. So we're in the 3D. Our planet is moving into 4D. So we're going to start seeing weird shit. But aliens are typically in 5D. So we can't see them. They can see us. So when you have like different tools, the not black lights, but infrared, you can often see things in the night sky and or the day sky and whatnot more often. But they're in different densities than us. So and it goes all the way up to like the highest level, which is like these not angelic, but celestial beings that are just like the highest level of spiritual angels that you can encounter. They all exist. They all work in different forms and fashions. They all know about each other. It's pretty wild and crazy if you believe that that's real and whatnot. It's hard to know that because there's not truth, hard facts around it. But it's interesting because you see that same storyline.
It's interesting. Some of the people that were abducted, like mentioned, like the aliens, like when they look like us. They might have had like like one of them, like, oh, just a middle finger was just a little longer. That was like, or something like that. They resembled us, which would go to the fact like we have some of their DNA in us, right?
Yeah. So I would say triangle shaped like faces or heads. And some of that.
DNA. So scientifically, DNA grows and alters and advances at a certain rate. So if you reverse the human DNA, it goes back to 4 billion years.
Oh, wow.
So like we weren't even around, right? So like something's going on. Like there's more to the universe than what we're being told.
So like Dr. Greer, right? The guy, so he mentioned about like the death experience he had or something, and then he mentioned that not being afraid of death because we're already in this place. You're not going to leave.
Yeah, you don't die. You don't die. So there's no such thing as death.
Yeah. So then, Just to get off. So are dinosaurs still alive?
Yeah,
So
I
they
mean,
made her first. Then
yeah, I mean,
were we part of that first or something? I don't. That's what I'm wondering.
I like to think that we are energy, so we can't be created or destroyed. We can just change and alter. So I think that we have been around since the beginning of time.
But
We
like
have
when we're our forms, though, what were our forms before?
Like,
anything, man.
reincarnated.
You
So
could've
that's
been-
saying, were we
yeah.
dinosaurs before?
Could have been.
Could've
You
been.
could have
That's
been,
what
you could have been a speck on a butterfly's ball sack.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully
Right?
not.
Wind blew one direction, there you are.
Yeah. I mean, you could have been a water droplet in water on Mars 10 million years ago. That's the thing, man. Like when you think about oneness.
Yeah.
So when I went through the 5-MeO experience and your ego dies and you merge into oneness, you experience exactly that. You experience being a leaf on a tree and your consciousness is fully there. You're able to be one with everything. There's no more me. It's all oneness. And that's what a lot of these aliens talk about is we're all one. So why would they be a threat?
Mm-hmm.
They're hurting themselves if they hurt us.
Hurt us, yeah. We're okay. So, but like, how does that feel
How does it feel?
to be oneness or whatever it is?
You gotta do some 5-MeO, DMT, baby.
No, but but you
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. So what does it feel like? What do you
Beautiful.
say? Because
Oh
you
my
say like
God, yeah.
I feel like one with the leaf or whatever. Like, what does that
Yeah.
actually feel like?
Can you describe it?
Describe it. Yeah.
You feel, so when you inhale it and you merge in and you fully surrender, once you get past the fear of letting go, you become immersed. It feels like you're just being held by this warm liquid almost that's just pure love and energy. And your body starts vibrating and tingling and your energy centers or chakras just completely open up. But mentally and subconsciously, I was elsewhere, having a full different experience. But I wasn't experiencing it as me. I was realizing that I was one. It's so hard to describe until you do it. And so then I had these different visualizations of being a water droplet in the middle of the ocean at night that was a calm sea. And I could look down, see all this beautiful life, look up and see the stars, and you can't tell where the sky, the cosmos, and the ocean meet because it's a reflection, right? And so then that idea that separation is an illusion. Everything is connected. Just because our planet stops here, it's still connected to the cosmos. This is all one. So this idea of the cosmos being billions of light years separated is really actually just an illusion to us.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. That's what I'm trying to get back to. Is like, are they like we say the cosmos? Like, oh, they're how many light years away? Are we really kind of in the same spot? We just don't, like that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know if I'd say we're like in the same spot. I would say, well, I mean, yeah. If you think about it, if you can be anywhere at the speed of thought, we all are in the same spot. Right. Everything that's ever happened in the universe of time is happening right now.
So the basis is speed of thought.
Yeah.
So we have that tool.
According to Skunkworks, we have the ability to be anywhere.
Bring ET home.
We can bring ET home.
Right. That's what the guy said. The guy said that's where the came from. It was like they're like what? And then the guy Mike dropped it because that was the last thing he said, and he walked out that class.
Yeah.
Right. It's like damn.
Which is crazy, man. So. What's hard though is we see all these UFOs. How much of it is our own government? And how much of it is
that's the thing. Yeah.
Actual real UFOs. I like to think that I don't know.
Then I think they play around because, like there's also another one where in Texas, like there was it was a lady and her sister or neighbor and I think her kids are in the back. I forgot who, but she went on TV. Like this was way back in the '60s or something like that. But they were in the road and like they saw it come out like this big ship, right? And it was like you could see like the stuff coming from the bottom propelling it, right? And they got out, and then it was like a burn. They got burned, right? And then that craft was like taken away, like escorted with other airplanes by it, right? And later found out, she went on and she talked about it, but it was because they got radiation
poisoning,
poisoning, right? And that was, and then they took it to the base, and it was one of the government's One of their things they were trying to reverse engineer one of the technologies they found from a different ship. They're trying to reverse engineer that, and that was one of the things they were doing. So again, that person says, "Yeah, I saw a UFO with that," but it wasn't really a UFO. It was the government's thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's been like that one ship, Aurora, whatever it is, that they just fuck around, fly that around. I think, right,
Yeah.
to different places, just to. So I, like you said, I think that there's the kind of like how much is really aliens and how much is the government doing it, right?
Mhm.
So.
Well, that's the scariest thing is that the government has the technology to full on create a false flag
Yep.
alien
That's the
invasion
thing.
to where everybody thinks that
Yep.
it's real and it is
Yep.
absolutely not going to be real. It
Well,
will be fake.
that goes back to again like them controlling the narrative. They can control it through the media, through Hollywood,
Yeah.
but now they can
Yeah.
control it with an actual.
Just like on
Yeah.
Spider-Man, where they had the enemy. It was the newest Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
With what's his name, Holland or whatever.
Holland, yeah, Tom
Mhm.
And
Holland.
they're traveling, and then the Mysterio.
Oh,
create-
Oh, yeah.
uses
creates.
all-
Yep, yeah.
It has all
Multiple.
these
All those,
drones
drones.
that create.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what they're telling us what they're gonna
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, so the movie the what was that movie, The Fourth Kind or whatever it is, like that came
Close
out.
Encounters of the Third Kind, where
Was that the one that was it Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
one. Like they said he actually got somebody that gave him clearance, so he actually was somewhat
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
to it, right?
Inside-
Yep.
inside
Some of that
info.
stuff, right? So I want to watch that again.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Was that like the late '90s that came out or something like that? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in like
Yeah.
late '90s, I would say, right? Because there was one movie, and I remember I think all of us were at that movie. Was it The Fourth Kind one? Remember there was one we went to the bar, the movie bar, and the lights went out.
Yeah.
remember that?
Oh my
The one with the
God.
owls?
Yeah,
the
owls,
Thank you.
yeah.
I was
White
so
owl.
scared. I was like, "Thank you, God."
Yeah.
Oh, dang
bad
it.
with-
Can't
Yeah.
finish the movie. Damn.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it so bad.
never
too.
watched it again.
I never did. I
never
never did
finished it.
either.
Same here.
I never did either.
Let's do it.
And that was the
Watch it.
Fourth Kind. I think
Yeah.
that's the
Feels
Fourth
like,
Kind
yeah.
one. So
Yeah.
So
And that's talking more about like the grays, I believe. Anyway, we can go down
Yeah.
that path.